Team-GPT, 10 months, 27,000 users. To build a highly performing team of 30 to 50 people, you need, I know. I know it's... Hi, you're listening to the Data Room podcast, where we build Team-GPT in public. My name is Iliya, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Team-GPT. I also teach 1.3 million people online on the topics of AI and data science. In this episode, I'm joined by my co-host Moni, and we're going to be talking about Team-GPT by the numbers.
Thanks, Iliya. Hi, everybody. My name is Simona, and I'm the head of product at Team-GPT. I'm also on top of everything that's currently in progress at Team-GPT. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Team-GPT by the numbers. We're going to talk about financials. We're going to talk about the metrics that we look at, active users, user base, so on and so forth. So, Iliya, where do you want to start?
I'll start with Team-GPT is a collaborative platform which enables teams between 2 and 2,000 people adopt AI at work. And we're an AI startup. We started in April 2023, 2-3 weeks after chat-GPT came out. And
GPT-4.
GPT-4, sorry.
Yeah.
After to me, there was no time before GPT-4. GPT-4 is like, you have before Christ and after Christ. This is the cutoff line with AI. To me, everything before GPT-4 was the time where the insiders like myself, we knew that AI is coming, we knew that automation is coming, but GPT-4 showed me how this timeline accelerated so much. And that's why I'm always saying, March 2023 to me was the turning point when I realized this is a very, very big shift in the whole world and the whole economy. And I want to be a part of it. And 2-3 weeks later, we started Team-GPT. Now, in this episode, we will be talking about the numbers. And I wanted to mention that in philosophy, they call this logos. And it's the numbers, is the logic behind everything. And while context is important, you need the numbers, you need the logic, the logos to make it quantifiable and make it real. And that's why this episode is so exciting for me. So
you're also a huge nerd. So
I'm a nerd.
Maybe that's why it's very exciting.
I am
a mathematician, a data scientist.
Yeah, it's exciting. I really like numbers. Now, talking about the numbers, which numbers are most important for a business? Maybe I don't know what people think. Maybe some people think it's the number of users. Some other people think it's how much money you're making. But the reality of it is it's all about asking the right question and finding the right number to answer it. And when you're starting a new business and you're validating an idea, it could be number of users. It could be number of leads. It could be number of, phone calls. It could be revenue. All of these are relevant, but it depends on the experiment that you are conducting. And when we were starting with Team-GPT, the experiment we conducted was based on revenue. How much money can we make from this idea, starting from some MVP? And the reason we did this was I read this book, and in the book the guy said, Prototype it by Alberto Savoy, I always talk about it, but in this book he said, if someone tells you they like your product, this is 0 points. If someone tells you, I want to use your product, you have a great product, 0 points. You get 1 point for an email. If you get their email, you get 1 point. Every other point is basically the money they have paid you for the product. If they pay you $1, it is equal to 1 email. So they have given you the email. And then if they pay you $1,000, that's 1,000 points. So $10,000 in revenue equals 10,000 users or emails in this ranking system. So we decided, okay, number of users doesn't matter. Let's see how much cash can we bring in, because cash is king. Cash is the validation that you have a good idea that people are willing to pay for, especially when it's broken. When you have a new product, MVP, it doesn't work well, and they still pay. So we started with this, and we actually made, I believe, $3,000 in less than a month. And then 3 months later, we had made about $20,000 on this idea. And this is the point at which we incorporated the company. And we had 3,000 users, $20,000 in revenue, about $10,000 in cash, which entered the account. And to me, this number of $10,000 that entered our bank account when was kind of idea validated, right? And this is how it all started, with this experiment. From this moment on, we set up a number of different experiments. Some of them are, features that we have introduced. Others were, will enterprise clients need a software like this? Over there, the measure is different. You enter this sales cycle and you start, you get extra points for every email that you get from the enterprise client. If someone who works in a company which is listed on New York Stock Exchange is writing to you both emails and on your WhatsApp, you get extra points every time they write to you, especially when they're head of AI. And so the game is a bit different when it comes to enterprise. But, the enterprise experiment was going on. The overall product experiment was going on. And in this episode, I think we can talk about many of the numbers that go into this. First and foremost, when you're starting a new business, revenue, cash points.
So currently, what's the number we're looking at? Like, what is the how did we what's the current number that we're looking at, and how did it get there?
Yeah, so far we have made $200,000 in revenue, out of which 110,000 has entered our bank account, and the rest is to partners and affiliates that we have had in the process. So 110K entered our bank account. In January, so last month, we brought in $25,000 into our bank account. And, entrepreneurs, people who do finance and so on, they know there's a difference between, revenue, cash flow, and so on.
Yeah.
For bootstrapping startups like ours, it really matters how much money can you bring in every month, because it matters how much money you're spending every month. In terms of annualizing this, if we annualize 25K times 12 months, that's $300,000 on an annual basis. And this is the state we're at right now. Of course, not all revenue is equal. Some of this revenue is coming from our main product, others coming from enterprise deals, others coming from initial setups. And that's why I usually report we're making $200,000 ARR. But it's very hard to describe a company with one number. Yeah. This is not the proper approach. So this is the most important number. Second most important number in traction is how many people have signed up for a product. Yeah. We have 27,000 people. As of today, we have about 27,000 people who have signed up for our product. And we have done only one paid campaign, so most of it was organic. And this paid campaign didn't bring so much users. Most of the stuff that is going on is organic, and this is also very important because users that you have paid ads for are valued less than those that come to you organically.
Yeah, of course.
So not all numbers are equal. Even the numbers are not equal. Yeah. I hope I answered your initial question, and I'll stop here.
Thank you. You did answer my initial question. You mentioned what the possible numbers that we're going to look at today are. what are the specific things we're going to discuss, and why are we going to discuss those things. I believe it's important to put the whole conversation in the framework of the marketing funnel. That is the underpinning
Okay.
a logic by which we execute campaigns, by which we acquire new people, how we activate them. We can talk about those things as well. So for me, it would be important to put maybe the cash flow, the revenue numbers in context of how are we getting those people.
Okay. Yeah, I believe there is different episodes from this limited series that is about sales and marketing and how we're bringing them in. But one of the main drivers has been SEO, and right now,
That's how organically people find us. That's
yes,
the strong driver right now.
SEO means search engine optimization,
Yeah.
and it is Google, practically Google and Bing. So people go, they Google something. Usually they Google something related to ChatGPT. We're ranking first for stuff like GPT-4 access. We're ranking API access. We're ranking for ChatGPT examples, specific use cases, education use cases, marketing use cases. We're ranking first for a lot of these words. Also, we are ranking second for ChatGPT for Teams and
collaborating ChatGPT, like those
yes, exactly. So people find us a lot like this. You can Google it right now and see whether we're top results for ChatGPT for Teams. And so we're doing a very good job in terms of this acquisition, and many of the users are coming like this.
Yeah.
Each month, so far we have had about 100,000 clicks on Google. So 100,000 people came to our website from Google, and that's a lot. That's a lot of people that came organically. We have millions of impressions on Google. I can't pinpoint the number right now. Yeah, but this is a very, very big acquisition channel. LinkedIn as well, very good channel. My personal brand has generated 600,000 impressions for the of my posts for the last year, I think, and I'm getting about 20,000 impressions every week, and about 3,000 people view my profile every month. And my profile is practically a landing page. You click on my profile and it's like Team-GPT, online course, 5-minute demo, Team-GPT. Yeah. So this is important because it's also driving traffic. We call this social traffic, or sometimes referral traffic if you count this as a referral, but it's social for me. 7,000 followers on Instagram. We have a couple of viral videos with 200,000 views each. They are very on point. We for AI engineers and for the industry as a whole. We've got what else on YouTube? We've got about 1,000 subscribers. So it's not as impressive, but knowing how hard YouTube is, to me, I'm extremely happy with how YouTube is going.
Yeah, we also haven't put that much effort into building the YouTube channel. As such, we don't. I don't believe we have done the best practice. Like, we haven't done a campaign to drive YouTube subscriptions to our channel. Right now, it's happening I feel like it's happening as a second-hand result of other campaigns that we have been doing. Just because we have the content, we put it on there. It's targeted content, it's high-intent content. People are interested. They see it's high quality, like production value is high. The education that we give is quite on point. You're an educator, you know how to deliver this type of content, so that's why they come in. Point is, imagine what would happen if we can dedicate attention to that.
You're very right. And YouTube, to me, in my mind, is a distribution network, and in the sense of you put in content there and YouTube distributes it.
Mm.
So far, what we have been doing is we've been dumping videos there. We have 150 videos, a bit more,
Yeah.
knowledge base,
YouTube
these short
Shorts, yeah.
videos, yeah, the online courses there. We've been putting all the content up
Mhm.
there, but you're right that we never put the extra effort to make YouTube specific content, which is, usually, I don't know, 10-minute videos, explainers, top 10 things about
Exactly.
X.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
actually, in our previous company, in 365 Data Science, where we worked together for 4 years, we had a campaign for this, and we saw that some of the videos which had not many impressions, one of the videos brought $30,000 in terms of sales on our website, and it had, I don't know, 1,000 views, 2,000 views.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting to when you start using YouTube more. Yeah, the interesting things can happen. But
That's for the marketing episode, but
yeah,
maybe part 2, because we did not talk about this in part 1.
yeah, we're
It's
just
a pilot series.
startup people will be brainstorming on every
Oh, yes.
occasion. Yeah, going back to this, so we're seeing great numbers growing across the board on all channels, all places, and we're having very, very good reception
Yeah.
from the general public.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
month on month, how are we growing in terms of user base? That would be maybe an interesting thing to
Yeah,
discuss.
if this
It grows like this.
if you're watching the video,
Yeah.
it's gonna be here. But it depends. So right now we're growing between 20 and 50% per month. Now it's very tough to pinpoint a number, and the reason is November is a strong month, December is a weak month, January is a strong month, February is a shorter month. 2 days, 2 days in our what 6% of the month. So this January it's a leap year, so 29 days.
Yeah.
But normally February is 3 days shorter than January, which is 9% shorter. And think about this as a marketer. You have to hit the same number of users, but your month is 10% shorter, and that's why it's very hard to
Yeah.
to do this. But we're growing consistently between 20 and 50% per month. I would say on average about 40%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I get carried away talking about acquisition because I have to show, wow, we're so good at acquiring users. But a much more important thing is, are these users using the software?
Yeah.
And you, as the head of product, I think you're the right person to ask this question to. So tell us about the activation, retention. Once the users sign up, are they using the product?
Yeah. Short answer. Short and sweet. They're using the product. We're okay. Closing up. No, okay, but when we talk about activation, there are different ways that we can think about activation, right? So we can have how many users are active daily, or how many users are using the software every day at work, because Team-GPT is tailored for people who are using GPT at work, right? Currently, the industry is so novel, so new. People are experimenting with using GPT for work, and the best metric that we have identified, it's also the metric that OpenAI are using when they're talking about activated users in chat-GPT. It's weekly active users. So people are using GPT for different things. They're testing it out. They're using it several times a week. Currently, we have our eyes set on like 3 times a week in the span of a 5-day week. And currently, the way our weekly active users, we have about 5,000 weekly active users every week. They're using it. That means that those are the users that are coming back every week for at least 3 times to use it in 3 separate days. And that's a really good activation metric. We can talk about monthly active users. The number is much higher, but that's not impactful enough for the user itself. If you use a software once a month, our particular software, for example, that does not give a good sense of adoption. And we are an adoption, like we want to solve the adoption problem. We want to empower everybody in your team to use it as often and as effectively as they can for their work.
How often do you use it?
3-4 times a week.
Three,
Like
4 times a
in
week.
3 or 4 days I use it. Not 3-4 times. When I use it for long periods of time. I do different things. I usually do complex tasks on it. I can sometimes do very simple, one-off prompts. It's it's kind of funny. Yesterday, OpenAI was down, so and it was the end of the day, and I still had to do some work, and it was really funny. When I stopped having access to the biggest models that I can have access to.
With the biggest context.
Yeah, the biggest context, the 128K models. I was like, okay, so that's it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm so reliant on chat-gpt now, or on Team-GPT for work, that when it's down, it impacts my work. So I use it a lot.
But when it's down, you can use the other models like Microsoft
That's what
Azure.
I did. Yeah, that's what I did. However,
it's not enough, the 32K context limit.
Yeah, that was for the specific task that I had to do yesterday. I needed a lot of context. That's not usually the case. I can usually get most of my work done in anywhere between 5 and 10 prompts. So I can have that's the length of the conversation that usually gives me the good result. But yesterday I needed to have much more context for the stuff that I was doing. So I did it today.
Are you a power user, would you say?
Power user. I would say I'm a power user, not necessarily by our metric. Right now, the metric that we're using to track power users is people who use it 5 consecutive days. I'm not going to qualify. Sometimes I use it 3 times a week, like in 3 separate days. Sometimes I use it 4. Rarely I hit 5.
5-day streak is a lot.
Yeah, 5-day streak.
You have to be very into this. So,
we have about, like, if we look at the power users in our software, like in Team-GPT, we have about 1,000 power users.
Wow. Okay, cool. This is very nice.
Yeah.
So many of our active users are actually power users.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. So very. I'm realizing stuff about our business while we're talking about this. Okay, so if if such a big chunk of the users are power users, it means that they're really using it for work at work. You cannot recreationally use it every day and be a power user. And
yeah.
And it can be more than 5. It can be more than 5 days, but actually because on the weekends they don't use it, 5 days is the maximum number. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, so we're talking about weekly active users and power users, and that's one metric. But the way Team-GPT works, and it's in the name, it's a team software, right? So you have businesses adopting Team-GPT, so you can look at it from another perspective. You can look at how many businesses are getting activated in Team-GPT. So currently we have about 3,500 weekly active businesses, and I think that's a really good activation metric, and also suggests the how can I say? I don't know what I want to say.
That we're very good. This is what you're trying to say.
We are a used software, a used platform. Yeah. And I think that's the important thing. And we get a lot of feedback from those people as well. Those people are activated in the sense that they use the platform, they benefit from the platform, but they are also the ones that are reaching out and that are asking, they're keeping up with the trends. They're asking for new things or new ways in which they can use it even more. And that's really valuable for us. We're in open conversation with a lot of our users, and I'm talking to power users specifically as well, and they have some really good suggestions.
Do you listen to the power users?
Yeah.
Who do you listen to the most. So you have different customers. You have these that are very supportive. You have these people that are writing, an email a day. You have these
Yeah.
people that are writing an email a week. These people that you've met in your customer interviews. You have a bunch of different users. Tell me, how do you decide who to listen to?
That's an interesting question. We cannot listen to everybody, even though there are a lot of great ideas. There are some things that I would really like to see inside of the platform, but they don't make the cut. We do have to think about who is our primary user. Power users are not always the users that Team-GPT is going to be the most impactful for. Right? They're the diehards. They're the evangelists. They're really taking every capability that we have and they're applying it at work. However, most of the users would not be using every single capability that we release and we create. So when it comes to innovating or meeting all of the customer needs that we get, we cannot currently do that. We just don't have the resources. We cannot solve every single problem that every single user has. We can solve the problems of, currently I pay a lot of attention to people who are part of large businesses, larger teams. We have businesses that have brought their teams onto Team-GPT, that have brought about 250 people inside of Team-GPT, and they're really using the collaboration, and they're making use of all of the capabilities we've released so that their team can adopt
I had a call.
chat-GPT at scale.
I had a call with one of them yesterday. There are 5 people on the call. They came 5 people. They liked the software so much that 5 of the key people came to discuss the future product updates. You have to watch the call. Did you watch it?
No, you shared it with me last night. I
Yeah,
have not watched
I
the
know,
call
I know.
yet.
I know it's deep insights.
Yeah. So when we manage to identify those businesses, those users, like people who are head of AI or head of innovation at their companies, and they're trying to adopt GPT in their companies, we want to listen to those people, because those are also people who have done the extra research and they know how they want to, for example, really integrate AI into their workflow. That would mean automation. That would mean some other stuff. Like, we're not just talking about features that are going to solve an immediate problem. We want to listen to the people who want to solve long-term problems and who kind of have their one eye looking into the future.
Yeah.
Usually it's those players that
two things that came to mind. So you're not looking at the power users, you're looking at the power businesses.
Yeah, power businesses is a good way to put it.
I talk to them as well, and these guys, the common thing between them is they're thinking about adoption at scale and how the whole organization could be AI enabled. And I had a very good example then from one of my first pitch decks. It was, if you have 2 companies, it's not only about how many people use the software. It's about how deep is the penetration of this software, how well are they using these models for their work. And if you have 2 companies, one is 60% of the people are using it, but they're using it with 10 out of 10 adoption. So they very deeply, they use every single feature and they're extremely effective. And then you have another company where 100% of the people are using it, but they're at the level of adoption 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. It's obvious that the first company has adopted AI much better than the second company. And in the long run, even if you don't onboard everybody, if you onboard them well and they know how to use the software well, these will prevail. Why is this? This is another thought that our dear listeners who are strategizing, they have to understand. In the future, it's not companies that have 100 employees right now. They have 10 employees. Companies that have 1,000 employees, they'll have 100. Companies that have 10,000, they'll have 1,000. And the size of many of the businesses will shrink with an order of magnitude because the people inside these companies will be way more capable because of the AI and the intelligent automation. And 25 to 75% of all work will be either fully or partially automated. Work on a computer will be partially or completely automated in the next 10 years. And that's why it's important to not only give the software to the people, and many leaders, they're thinking, I bought the software and then the user will use the software. No, it's about how well the user uses the software. And this is something we're actually measuring with our adoption reports. Since we're talking about the numbers, tell me about the adoption reports. We discussed it in the beginning, and then you and the team, you made it happen. Tell me, what are we measuring right now in terms of adoption? Give me the top 3. Yeah.
One of the coolest things that we're measuring right now, I believe, is how effectively you're prompting, you're chatting with the language model, right? And what does effective mean? Usually it means that we have to keep the best conversations right now, given how the technology has evolved and has developed, and the current state of the technology, are conversations that are mainly focused. So that means that they need to be slightly shorter. You cannot have, again, because of the technological limitations, this will change in the future. Like, we will have long-term memory, we will have all of those things. But currently, you cannot have one endlessly long thread that you keep adding new messages to and thinking now it's going to remember everything I've previously said. It doesn't work like that. Usually, the way that you want to go in is you go in, you have a specific problem you want to solve. Maybe you can reuse some of the context from a conversation, but you still need to keep it focused and targeted. And we're measuring this by... we're going to get a little bit technical. I don't want to get too technical, but we're measuring this based on the number of messages that you send and how long is, your thread. It's a ratio of number of messages for the context that you keep sending to the model and getting back from the model. And our team is doing really well, although sometimes when you, for example, are on sales calls, you add messages in old chats, in really long chats, and you're currently probably the only person who's like all in red. You're low efficiency because
Me? I'm in red now.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I joined your inefficient chats.
Yeah.
I'm dear
Not
listeners, I'm
Not
extremely effective and efficient at using chat-GPT, GPT technologies, any models. I'm good at it.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, but when you give demos, you use some really good chats that have already finished. They have wrapped up, right?
Yes, I know.
And you're sending a new message, and you're just
I know exactly what you mean. And I saw that the redness is increasing, and I'm like, did we change the way we're measuring effectiveness of the chats? And why am I a bad user now? Okay.
Yeah.
Inherited.
Yeah. It's that. But that's something that team leads especially can pay attention to when they're looking at how well their team is adopting. It shows a level of if you're in the green, because we have a measure, like you can be super effective, you can be, moderately effective, and you can be completely not good at it. If you're mostly in the green, that's great. Like, that means that you're having focused conversations, you understand how the technology works. And that's a really important one. You need to understand what the technology is. It's not like chatting to a human. It's not like I'm going to give you information once, you're going to remember it, and I will forever reap the benefits. It's not like that. It's chatting to a language model. It just works differently.
Yeah, and I want to just underline, these are things that not only we are measuring, we are providing these reports to every business that is using our platform, so they can see it for themselves and they can change their behavior based on this feedback.
It was really funny when we launched it. Initially, when we launched it, we noticed that one of our junior employees was having some really bad chats, like really bad chats, and she was
Really bad
she was quite upset, like in the first week after launching, and I paid attention to the
How it's
reports,
improved.
yeah, how it improved, and she's not having, like, she's virtually not having bad chats anymore. So it
Nice.
makes sense. I gave her feedback. I recorded a video, and she changed the way she chats now.
Nice. This shows how important it is to use your own product and
Yeah.
to build a product which is useful for yourself. This is how we started in the beginning. We built it for ourselves, and we are still using it.
So yeah, so this is kind of an overview of what our user base is doing, what the companies are doing, the businesses that are using us. But then there's another aspect of this conversation, and it's the financial aspect of things. And I'm not that deep into the financials. Can you share some overview of what has been done so far, what has been spent so far, or invested so far, or achieved so far?
Sure. So far, I'll talk in cash flows because this is what matters. So we have spent a total of about $300,000. We have invested $300,000 in the business in the last 10 months. We have made $110,000 cash inflow, which means that about 200K have come out of our pocket. This, for 10 months, for a highly performing team and the traction that we're having, is amazing. This is very, very good metrics. We're bootstrapping this. No, I'm not receiving a salary, and yeah,
I am.
yeah, but everybody on the team is taking some kind of pay cut, and
Yeah.
this is important for the startup because the money is coming out of our pocket, and people who believe in the project, they are ready to make a sacrifice in the short run for the reward in the long run. And this is important way in which we incentivize the people. Now, in terms of the financials, we did it in several steps. So the first 3 months, it was all about experimentation. So there was no legal entity, and we were just taking people from different projects, and they were helping out. Then on the third month, when we brought in 10K into these existing companies, by the way, and not in the Team-GPT company, we incorporated, we funded the company, and then we started making all expenses from this company.
Yeah.
Now, in September, we made the first increase in this. It's a stepwise function.
Okay.
And you start with like scrappy with almost no money, then you spend, you start spending a bit more money, and then you go to the next level and you start investing more. I briefly mentioned I think in a different episode that I wanted to add 1 or 2 team members per month.
Yeah, it's the team episode.
Yeah, this did not work out as well as I thought, but in fact, in some months we had 3-4 new team members. In others we had 0, and we were onboarding the previous team.
Yeah.
3-4. But right now in our Slack we have about 25 people, out of which about 10 are full-time. And yeah, we're burning about, right now we are spending about $75,000 per month, and we're bringing in about $25,000 a month. So we're burning about $50K in cash, which is not enough to build a unicorn, but it is a very, very decent burn rate for a business. And especially because we're bootstrappers, and we've never raised funding in our lives. This is an important thing. We have the good cost understanding of the cost, the expenses. We're on top of the expenses all the time, and we're trying to lower the expenses at every possible turn. And this is an important thing. Now, I am certain that when building a product, this is a very, very highly resource intensive activity, And just do the quick math. If you want two high performing developers which don't have equity or anything, this is gonna cost you $20,000-$30,000 per month, no matter where you are in the world. If you have good ones, multiply this by 12 for 12 months, and you're looking at something like $300,000, $350,000 for a year just with two developers. Building products is extremely expensive, and it has to be underlined that when you're doing a service, when you're doing e-commerce, these things, you can ramp up in a slower way. When you're doing product, you need a lot of cash to be able to scale it. And I always say, build the MVP prototype without any money, and then try to get your first clients on your own. Don't get external funding before you know that you're onto something real, before you've built many of the stuff. So this is about our financial literacy. By the way, I've graduated in finance, and I've been the chief financial person in many places. Right now we have a person who is on top of these things, but financial literacy is very important. And so this is what we did with our finances so far. I think we've been very efficient and effective.
Okay, so this is what has been happening with this is what the financials look like so far. What can we expect? Like, how are you planning the financials for the future?
Sure, they ask me this all the time. I have studied this at university, and the thing is, to build a highly performing team of 30 to 50 people who that is well rewarded with above average salaries and very excited about the project and top talent, especially for enterprise sales, we need a minimum of $3.5 million. And this is the math. When we're adding these, every month we're adding about two new people, and in 2 years' time we can build this team. Now, this, however, 3.5 million doesn't give us the buffer to be creative. And when you're building the future, you need to be able to be creative. You need to be able to make mistakes, to experiment, to
iterate quickly, to validate some hypotheses, risky ones, high reward.
With 3.5 million we wouldn't have much room for mistakes, and this would put a strain on our psyche mainly. But with $5 million with a good buffer, I think we can make all the best efforts to achieve the goal of being a global company, hopefully a unicorn one day. Anything on top of this would be welcome, but not needed. And to be honest, I can spend even more, but now is not the time, right? Because if I get 15 million, and I wrote it in a LinkedIn post, 5 to 15 million, I don't need 15 million, but I need the marketing. So so I did the marketing. Everybody's like, oh my god, this guy is raising 15 million. I don't need 15 million. I cannot deploy them tomorrow. But in 2 years maybe I can deploy them tomorrow. And from this point of view, I think I answered the question.
Yeah, you did. So primarily we're looking at reinvesting the money in building the team that is going to back and build the product that we want to be. From our previous conversations, I think we're on the same page here. We do believe that it's not gonna it needs the right people with the right incentive to build the right product at the right time.
Yes.
A lot of rights.
So the time is right. The time is right.
Exactly.
The industry is right. The core team is right. And now we have the flywheel. We have everything needed to be fun. And by the way, I like to say, but it was well planned. All of this, growth, these things. It was all of the growth that we have seen, and it's always upwards trending because we didn't do everything at the same time.
Yeah.
We stack them one after the other so we can grow faster and faster. It was well planned to be always on the rise, and we can continue doing this as long as we can fund this. And you mentioned again product distribution channels and team. We mentioned first time founders focus on product, second time on distribution, third time on team. And truth is, you have to focus on all three.
Yeah.
And but if you start from the team and you know that you have to build do the right marketing, build your own distribution channels, and owning the distribution channel is very important. Right now, I told you $200,000 in revenue, 110 for us. Why? Because the money is the value is captured by a partner, and this is not what you want to do. So if you have money, you can build your own distribution channels, capture more of the value. By the way, another thing, models. Our users have paid $600,000 to OpenAI and Microsoft Azure for using models. We can capture this value as well with our own models, open source models that we build on top of. And with good funding, we can do this as well, and we can capture more value and build the right distribution channel. Find the people, build the right distribution channels, and finally innovate the product and build the world-class product that we know are capable of building.
Yeah, for sure. It sucks that we cannot experiment that freely right now. We have so many ideas, we have so many ideas, and we want to go into like this specific direction of automation, underpinning the future of work, and securing the future of work in Team-GPT. But we can only currently, meet the needs of our existing users who are not thinking at scale, who are not yet as far ahead as we are in our imagination and in our research. But that's gonna come.
It's gonna come, yeah. This is my focus right now. Focus on finding the right partners. Yeah.
Okay. And just as a wrap up, I wanted to mention that since you said that one of our goals in the future is training our own LLMs, figuring out how to create intelligent agents, like that's not something you said, but I know that this is what you meant, and giving them to our users to fit in their workflow or augment their workflow in clever ways. I just wanted to mention for the listeners, we do have an episode on the product vision. Not sure if it's the next one, but I think it's the next one in line. And who knows?
Ordered them?
Yeah, who knows?
We'll figure this out.
But that one is a really, really interesting one. So tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. Product vision, super important.
And exciting.
After we set up the team and the distribution channels, product
at the same time, I think.
At the same time.
Those are different teams, different departments.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for hosting me today.
Co-hosting. I also answered questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
We should do this more often.
Yes, in the studio.